I met a Gypsy.
So what do you think that they should do? Because, I mean,
Bigger rounder.
on whoops or just everything?
Bigger rounder on whoops because, okay, so like, here's my thought.
And more than 9?
Fuck yeah. Definitely more than 9.
Okay, good.
I hate jump. I mean, so here's the thing. I don't actually mind jumping them. I think jumping them's, it's a cool element to have. I like when it's competitive to jump or not. But when you have literally every single weekend, we can all just pop 333 and it's quick. That's total bullshit. I don't like that at all. That's not. There's no Supercross value to that. You can if that was what we knew was going to happen every year, you would set the bike up completely different.
Yeah,
and it's just a whole nother category.
Yeah, different sport.
It's a different sport.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of, I mean, scary whoops. And just because I like whoops, and if my bike setup is good, I'm going to excel in that avenue. One of the better sets of whoops, and this is kind of just my frame of reference, one of the better set of whoops that I can remember that I think would be great to formulate whoops off of is in 20. Okay, and again, I have this bias because I was fast. I set pole that night. Was in 20 at Dallas. Those whoops were, they were pretty long. They were right out of the turn, so it gets that high rut set up, and then the middle rut, and then the low rut, and then now all of a sudden everybody's coming. So it's like you could jump or skim. On my fast lap, on the quickest lap of the day, I skimmed. But the guys that were like that, I was neck and neck with. Some of them jumped. So I think they need to be, first of all, if you have a big, relatively big, like rounded whoop that's long, then they need to be butted like this. Because right now, like they're skinny and they're far apart like that. So that's where the jumping lines come from.
Because you actually can
you
get in the tranny.
actually fit your motorcycle in between the whoops. That never used to be the case.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, why is everybody jumping now? Well, because you allow a bike to fit there now. You didn't ever used to allow a bike to fit there.
Yeah.
So if you have big round whoops, that's better for the skimmers. There's another factor to it, which is this. You got guys that skim literally that much of the whoop, like just the top of the whoop. And if they're big and round, the guy that's elite in whoops is going to have a better line than the guys that are like average because they're just so much lower on the whoop.
Yeah.
So like if you're down in the hole, they're going to suck worse for you. So that is like that. There's a separation there.
Yeah.
That being said, we live in a different world. There's guys that there's probably 15 dudes between the two classes that will do that now. So it will be different, but I think it sucks when you have a wet winter. I hate when we have a wet winter.
Yeah.
And everything just comes in just either frozen or like it's just mud.
Yeah.
Free practice is so bonkers now. Like our free practices are just mud, like mud holes.
Yeah.
So you spend 8 minutes trying to figure out a brand new Supercross track that you're trying to get dialed in, and it's like you can't, unless you're like you risk a lot with wheel spin early in the day, and that's way worse than it's ever been.
Yeah, yeah, and they're in a weird spot now because, like, I'm just thinking as you're talking, right?
Yeah.
It's such a good breakdown and a good analysis of where we're at, and thing that I'm thinking is like if they don't fix this soon, they're going to end up with a generation of guys that don't know how to ride whoops. And you're not going to, because Cameron McAdoo said something cool on the podcast where he's like, I had to learn how to do this shit.
Yeah.
I had many a winter where I ate shit because I knew I had to learn how to skim whoops.
Yeah.
Now there's this whole generation that's coming through, especially like the futures and that. If you don't challenge these guys now and put things on a racetrack that are going to make them learn that skill, you're going to lose that
miss
skill.
A piece of the sport.
You're going to lose that skill.
Yeah.
And then if you ever try go back to that, it's going to look like...
you're going to let the data prove itself.
Yes. It's like it's going to misrepresent the facts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've now got a group of guys that have crippled in that area, and then we go back to whoops, everyone crashes.
Yeah.
See what I mean? They're too dangerous.
And
that's like no. This is a problem that you guys have now almost like self-selected for.
My same stance on dragon backs. We need dragon backs right now, or they're never coming back. And like dragon backs too, I think the bigger they are, the better. Like because my struggle, I guess my only complaint with a dragon's back is that if the frequency is too high, there's too many. You have a 5 whoop dragons. You're gonna have guys that just and then lose traction or whatever. If they're big, you will get, when it breaks down, you'll get guys that rhythm. And so there's a safe line.
Marv used to be good at that.
Marv was always really good at that.
Yeah.
Marv was good at it, and honestly, so was Cooper. Cooper's really good. He's just always been good at jumping through, even when the whoops like weren't jumpers.
Yeah, he could jump.
He would jump through them.
Yeah.
There's guys that like, and Justin Cooper is another guy, just really elite at jumping them. But if they don't bring back the dragons backs, and preferably right out of turns, right out of 180s, it should be the first thing on them because your speed's low.
Yeah.
To me, speed is the injure monster. Like, you can't make all these 5s possible. Like just now, you got Chase doing that, whatever you want to call it, table over 3, which is pretty nasty looking.
Yeah.
You got guys like, oh, look how gnarly he's looking and ready for the season. Like, you've set the bar now to where like you got to come in and do table over 3s now. That's what.
Is that a thing now?
That's what it looks like you have to do. It's never really happened until last year and this year.
Yeah.
So you either need to nip it in the bud and make everything like it was, so that you take all those things out of play, or you're gonna really start having big ones. Imagine what happened to Ken in 17 over that triple, and now place him on a table over 3 with that same, because the tracks get more rutted now than they did then, and that's what he got sucked in. I mean, I raced that track, I won that race, and at A2 that year, it was literally, you hopped into that, and it was like just foot pegs, and you had to really like prepare every fiber of you not to rotate, because you were stuck in that. The dirt was eating you up, and it was obviously much worse than the 450 main.
Yeah.
So to me, it's speed and like adding speed and distance inadvertently by creating things that are more doable,
by dumbing it down.
A stupid idea. Yeah. Such a stupid idea.
God, this is a good breakdown, bro.
It needs to be more technical. It has to be more technical, or we might have less frequent crashes. But I think the ones that do are going to be like gnarly, and it might take, and it's just, I don't want it more gnarly.
Well, Faulkner's crash this year, I mean, that section was
pretty gnarly.
Ripping, bro.
Yeah.
Like coming out of that sand and just fucking wide open across the start, wheeling in, and there's,
we have.
I was on the floor at
right
times there, not for when the crash happened, but I was on the floor at a point in the night, and just seeing. It's so different when you're not in the stands and when you're on the floor, and you can level, like really see how fast they're going away
when you're
from
up
you.
Close.
I was like, bro, that's gnarly.
I'll do you one better. I rode that track and did that line, and it was fucking gnarly. Like, it was just because there's a great, like a superb example, because you have a literal sweeper. Like, you've got a sweeper with no checks for a lip with really no end in sight. Like, you could jump that forever. You could go 5 in if you went out to the edge of that berm and set up and did it, right? So it's like, I wish there was ways that we could kind of accommodate once you accumulate speed, like once you get going. I don't hate the walls. I think walls are fine.
I like walls too.
The walls are good. The way that they used to do them in the middle of the whoops, I thought actually was kind of cool. Especially you have like a big set, 6 big whoops, bop, 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 drop in, and then into another set. I always thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. There's design ideas out there that are just inherently way safer. What I get off on bad is like the areas where you are absolutely suggested to just like send it into it. And that's, to me, that's where it gets worse. Like, you have those big, which inadvertently by Austin crashing saved his life, which is a crazy thing. But that shouldn't encourage that type of.
We don't want to go there. That was a weird.
That's a crazy one. And thankfully, I thought I'd say that, but thankfully he crashed. right?
Yeah,
But like
dude.
that's crazy. But we shouldn't encourage those types of layouts. It's just mental. Like so from my standpoint, I think the way I feel about tracks and the way that I shined is, yes, I will admit to literally anyone that ever asked that I'm biased towards it.
Yeah.
Because I had success in those times.
But the thing
I
is,
think it was better. Like, I believe it was better. I think there was
and
less
everyone
big ones.
says it's better.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.